Sarah and Kevin here down at Market Wines, getting ready for new features this weekend, and I can't be more excited because these just landed.
This is fun. We don't do a lot of Bordeaux here, do we?
No, we don't.
So it's kind of exciting to do Bordeaux because Bordeaux is like probably the most famous wine region in France, and maybe the region people think of the most of when they think about high quality or high-end wine. So you're going to tell me these are expensive, aren't you?
I'm not actually.
No?
Really good value here, which is awesome for Bordeaux, and they're ready to drink. So again, you don't have to wait like 10,
Don't
20
pop
years.
them in the cellar for your children's children?
No, you
We're
actually
good?
get to enjoy these.
I'm super excited because I've been sitting here smelling this wine for the last couple of minutes, and this is probably the coolest smelling Bordeaux I think I've ever had in front of me. You got to tell me about this sucker. What's going on here?
Probably,
this smells amazing.
Probably because of the blend. So
It doesn't smell like Sauvignon Blanc for one.
there's not much Sauvignon Blanc in there actually. So typically we'll see Sauvignon Blanc based blends. Sauvignon Blanc is dominating, but in this wine it's mostly Muscadel, which is usually used in just tiny portions in white Bordeaux.
If at
but
all,
this
right?
is 70%. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the average white Bordeaux you look at is going to be mostly Semillon or Sauvignon. And then if they throw in Muscadel, it's usually going to be like maybe 2 or 3 or 5% at the most. So what's the reason behind that? Do you know?
I don't actually.
Stumped you.
That's a good question.
I knew you didn't know.
He's just trying something new.
It is like, it does give this wine like a totally different feel though, doesn't it? Because you don't have those like really like honeysuckle sort of characters. You get like these really like exotic notes to it, right? So I would never know this was white Bordeaux, but I love the wine. I think it's super exciting. What is this guy going for?
$26.95.
Wow, so it's pretty everyday pricing, or it's a Friday nighter, but that would be really fun on the table. I think there's so much food you could do with that. Like obviously like any kind of seafood dish you could think of, but there's some real texture to this wine that I think you could have some fun with, like even more like Asian foods maybe, something along those lines.
Especially with those aromatics. I always love carrying those
so
really like floral, tropical aromatic wines with Thai food or Indian food.
I don't think I've ever had anything like that. It's just so unique. So that is going to be super fun to pour for people this weekend. I am liking that a lot. Moving to the reds?
Yeah.
I think we've said enough about that one. Piqued your interest, hopefully, because that's a cool wine. I had a bottle of this the other night.
Really?
Yep.
What vintage?
As soon as it came in, I
you
stole one of
one
these,
of
took
these
it
ones
home,
already.
and it was
awesome. Of course you did.
I don't drink a lot of Bordeaux at home. It's one of those wines I sort of feel like I can't afford a lot of the time, right? So to get an interesting one, usually I feel like they're going to be north of $50, which I don't like to spend that often. So I was really, really happy with how this drank. We had it with some dinner. We did a little flank steak with it, and it was really, really amazing. And I'll tell you what's cool about this wine, because most Bordeaux you get tends to be like big in structure, like a lot of oak, or else with the cheaper ones, they tend to be like really thin and kind of boring.
A little green sometimes.
Yeah, but this one really like opened up over the course of a couple hours, and it really showed like it changed a lot and kind of evolved a lot in the glass. So normally I get these guys down pretty fast, but we took our time with this one. I'm glad
Patience
we did,
is a virtue.
because it was a really interesting wine and sort of like a little more textural and compelling. And the more like the more you smell it, the more you taste it, the more you want to go back to it. So these guys got kind of a cool story, right? I remember when we first got them in, they were kind of moving to organic, and they were talking about biodynamic, because it's just a little family winery, which is again unusual in Bordeaux. But what's their story here?
So we've been working with Chateau de Belle for a couple of years now. Olivier, what's unique about these guys is they're actually very new on the block. So Olivier and his wife decided to leave the wine world. They were originally trading wine online.
Okay.
And he decided he wanted to be a winemaker. So they went to Bordeaux, where they both grew up, and found a small 5-hectare piece of land that was for sale, which is Chateau de Belle. And in 2003, they made the purchase. And their goal has always been to stay small, stay humble. They don't want to be the big, showy superstars of Bordeaux, which I think is really cool.
Right.
And they make Merlot-based wines. They're on the right bank, and
100% Merlot. This guy,
100%
right?
Merlot. Yeah, both of these guys are 100% Merlot.
Okay.
The difference being for the Chateau de Haute Grave, he's actually working with one of his father-in-law's best friends.
Okay.
That owns some vineyards in the Montagne Saint-Emilion, and he's buying fruit from him to make this wine.
Because this is a family, right? Like they don't have like unlimited funds. Like they're not owned by some giant corporation.
Exactly.
They're actually like working people they crowdfunded some of this,
Yeah.
didn't they? So
Speaking
tell
of
us about that.
funding, so they've always farmed sustainably and organically, but they couldn't afford to go fully biodynamic. So
Right.
they went to the internet and crowdfunded their conversion. So they paid back their investors with either a few vintages of wine, depending on how much you donated,
Nice way to get paid back.
or you could stay in their cottage at the chateau for a few nights.
Wow.
So in 2016, which is the vintage that we're featuring, that is the first certified biodynamic vintage.
And 2016 was a pretty special year in
Mhm.
Bordeaux too, right? Because Bordeaux's had a pretty good run lately. 9, 10, 15, and 16 have all been pretty extraordinary, but 16 is really like the cream of the crop for vintages. So these wines have been extraordinary, and we're super excited. And I'm really excited to taste this next one because we've never had it before. This is brand spanking new.
Brand spanking new.
So this is from Montagne Saint-Emilion. So not in Saint-Emilion proper, which would typically mean it would be quite a bit more
Yeah,
expensive.
at least double the price, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And these are like really great vineyards kind of surrounding that area. So just a little off Broadway, but in the hands of a good winemaker, these are still super exciting wines. And I'm liking the way this is smelling a lot. Tell us about
A
this
little
guy.
bit dustier.
Yeah,
I
there's a
find
little more
compared
complexity,
to the
eh?
Chateau de Belle.
And it takes a little longer to open up, but I feel like there's a little more. There's a little more going on here. A little more than meets the eye in this one.
This one too, you could crack open and enjoy it, or you could put this down for another 5,
I'm
10
enjoying
years,
it
hey?
right now. Yeah, I think there's still more to give in the bottle, and sure, you can pop it in the basement for a while if you want. But it is unusual in the sense that it's what's this go for?
$39.95.
And this guy was
30.
30. So for an extra $10, I think you get a little more interest in there. You do get the cellaring factor if you want to pop a bottle in the basement. But man,
Little tobacco-y, leathery.
I like the way this is tasting right now. I would happily pull a cork on this on a Saturday night and find a meal to build around it, because this is a really, I think, spectacular Bordeaux at a price point which is still affordable. You know, it's not crazy. It's not like up in the $100 range, which these can get to pretty
Absolutely.
fast. And you still get a lot of interest in there. And we're lucky that we've got these 2016s right now, because everyone's punching way above the normal weight class. So these are well worth checking out. If you're a Bordeaux fan, definitely try them. Even if you're not, I think there's some real exploration to do here. And
Absolutely.
the only time we're doing Bordeaux this year, so this weekend
Don't miss it.
come down and taste them. So hope to see you on the weekend.
Thanks.